everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. I'm Sarah, and today's video is going to be an end of the year declutter, which I am pretty excited for because there's a lot of things that need to leave my collection before 2021. I actually have a lot that I am decluttering, but I will probably not spend a ton of time talking about every single product. I'm more so going to group a lot of them into categories so that we can kind of get through this a little bit faster. I have some eyeshadow palettes. I'll save those for last because they're kind of the more interesting ones. And I have a lot of lip products that I'm decluttering, mainly because they are expired. So the first lip product, and I'm not going to go through them all individually, but this one deserves an honorable mention because it's been with me for a while. Okay, so I have this Maybelline lipstick. It's in the shade Blushing Beige, and I remember back in the day, like OG Kathleen Lights, so this was, I think, when I was in college I bought this, which your girl has not been in college for quite a few years, okay? We're starting to get to the point where I want to lie and be like, oh, I was just a couple years ago, yeah, you know what I mean? It's been a while, so I don't really want to think about how old this lipstick is. It definitely smells expired, for sure. But look how much I had left, and I think that's why I kept it around for so long, because I was like, oh, I'll pan it, oh, I'll pan it, oh, this year I'll pan it. And I never panned it, so yeah, I definitely need to let this go. I do not like colors like this anymore. I like nudes, obviously. They're the best types of lip colors ever, but this is too nude for me, okay? This is like not quite concealer lips, but close to it. Even on me, which is weird. You would think, oh, you're so fair, that'll definitely be a good nude for you, but still too nude. I don't know, I used to really go for that look, and now I don't. So there's lipstick on my floor. Oh, good thing I was throwing this out anyways. Okay, so the next lippies that I have are a set of, they're all the same type, same formula. And this pains me to get rid of these. These have been expired for a while in my collection, but I think I was just, a lot of the lippies that are expired, I was just in denial about. But I started to get really overwhelmed because I wasn't reaching for them because I knew they were expired, and then they were just taking up space and kind of making it harder to see what I actually do have that I want to reach for. So I have these Bite Beauty matte lip trans. These are the original ones. So they did discontinue them and then bring them back in different newer formula. I have quite a few shades. I definitely decluttered some shades maybe, I want to say at this point, maybe a couple years ago that didn't really suit me, and I kept a whole bunch, but then I never got around to really using them up or anything like that. They're to the point where they're super thick. When you apply them, they're just kind of almost not super goopy, but kind of but yeah, I knew that these were expired. I just was in denial and didn't want to get rid of them. And I'm not going to try and take these all out, but I kind of was collecting these into one of my acrylic drawers, which as soon as I throw these out, I will be able to return to the set that it came from, which will be nice because I have things in here and they're all scattered on my vanity now. I needed an area to kind of keep these kind of in one section. So this was the Bite Beauty stuff. This is the Kylie, all of the Kylie lip products that I will be getting rid of. Again, I don't want to talk, I'm not going to go through every single one, but I used to buy all of the Kylie stuff. I would buy all the lip kits that she would come out with. I would buy all of her collabs, all the sets. And then I realized that I didn't really like her products. I don't like her eyeshadow formula. I don't like her lip formula. I think her Velvet liquid lipsticks are a little nicer. I think I like those a little bit better, but the matte ones I don't like. I don't like her glosses. They're too opaque and too shimmery, at least the ones that I've tried. So there's just not really a whole point in keeping a lot of this stuff. And it's yeah, I bought a lot of it. I paid money for it, but at this point, I bought all of my Kylie stuff so long ago that it's definitely technically expired. I did keep quite a few though that still smell fine. I think maybe they weren't opened as much. Sorry if you hear a truck, and sorry if my dog starts barking. Wow, that is a really loud truck. So I am going to be getting rid of them. I don't know how many I have here. So I have 13 that I am getting rid of. And I want to say that I kept maybe half of the ones. So we'll see. And I probably still will continue to declutter as I go, but these are the ones that the color wasn't working or it was definitely expired for me. And when I say color isn't working, I meant like color doesn't work for me. So I have like some lippy sticks and I have some mini multi-sticks from ColourPop, and the mini multi-sticks were a collab with Sonia Esmond, and these, you know, that was like a long time ago if you guys remember that collab. I also have the Aquarius lippy stick that they did in collab. It was like Kathleen's like first collab, I think, with them, right? I've got a lot of these Beauty mini amuse bouches. A lot of them are just off, like they smell off. Some of them I got rid of because they were just not the right color for me. Beauty stuff expires so quickly, I feel, and knowing that and knowing how long I've had some of these, I'm like, why did you hold on to them for so long? The one product I kind of wanted to single out of this little box here is this Bite Beauty Amuse Bouche Lippy in the shade Virgo, which if you have been keeping up with my poor attempt at the whole collection of Project Pan this year, this is one of the products I was in that, well, still it is technically in that project, which my finale is going to be going up. I wanted to get one more update in, but that just didn't happen, so I will be having my finale soon. This is a little spoiler alert, I guess, for you, but I am decluttering this, so I don't even know if I will keep. I would probably throw it away before I even film my finale for the project, because I don't care about this product. It's not a color that I wear a lot, and I think for me, I don't really want to try and pan a vampy like red lip shade. I think if I never finish a vampy red lipstick and still occasionally have one or two in my collection at any given time, I'm okay with that. I don't know why I didn't like see it sooner. It's definitely turned, I think, from like opening it a ton to try and use it. It finally hit that point where it was like, nope, this is definitely expired, like the kind of expired you don't want to put anywhere near your face. So I am going to be decluttering this, and a little bit of a spoiler for my whole collection finale, but yeah. Then I have 3 more lippies I want to talk about because they're a little bit more special to me. So the first lippy that I have is this little sample. It is the Meet Matte Hues Long Lasting Liquid Lipstick from The Balm. It's in the shade Committed, I think. I got this in an Ipsy bag years ago, and I pulled, if you watched my last Shop My Stash video, I did pull this out during that. I kind of immediately realized that it was no longer good. It was so thick and dried out, and just I tried to put it on my lips and I immediately wiped it off. It was just like, no, this is no longer good. This should not be on my lips. So yeah, this is getting thrown out, unfortunately. I really do want to purchase this shade because it's kind of one of those mauve tones that is a little bit more warm, or a little bit more neutral, I guess I would say, so I can wear it. I don't do mauves because they're always too cool toned for me. They make me look weird. I don't know. They just make me look kind of dead. It's weird. I love them on other people, but I think my coloring is just too warm for that. I just remember really liking this, and I like the shade, so I might be picking this up. You might see it sometime. I haven't picked it up yet. I also have 2 Ofra liquid lipsticks. I have the shade Americano, and I also have the shade Miami Fever, which this was the original Kathleen Lights Miami Fever. This is like literally, I bought this when it first launched. I'm tossing these. They are so dry. Like, I didn't even have to smell them. I could just look and be like, no, that they're like dried up like completely. I did repurchase Miami Fever because I love this shade, and I think these have been expired for so long, and I was again in denial, so I kept them, but I always wanted to reach for this, and then I'd look at it and be like I don't think that's gonna work, but I never decluttered it. Finally saying goodbye to these, but I do already have a backup of this, or well, it's not, I guess, no longer a backup. It's just I have this in like a new one. So those are kind of the only lippies that I feel like dedicated enough to talk about. The rest of the stuff I'm getting rid of is just like things that I didn't really like the formula of, or the color just wasn't suited to me, things like that. So nothing too exciting in here, in my opinion. Okay, and then I started collecting some like liners and stuff in this bag. I'm not decluttering the bag because it's cute. I think this is from House of Lashes. Yeah, it is. So I bought like a little lash set and it came with this bag. I think it's adorable. Finally went through all of my liners and like tested them out and to see like, are they dried up? Do I need to declutter them? I was left with all of these. So I'm not dropping everything. So I'm not going to go through every single one of them. I have mostly, I mean, these are ones that I got in like BoxyCharm or Ipsy. Like I, for a while there, never bought liners for myself because I was always getting them in those subscription boxes, but like I was getting them too quickly for me to ever like make my way through them. So yeah, I just have a lot. I have like one from Ofra. There is a Marc Jacobs one in here that dried up on me, unfortunately. I also have a liquid liner. This is the only liquid liner I'm getting rid of. It's the Too Faced I Want Candy liner. I was really excited for this when she did her collab, not because I actually don't watch her, not for any particular reason. I just don't, but I don't know. I just saw that this was coming out and I saw that the wand was like supposed to be like really easy to make a winged liner with, and like the problem is it's really quite thick. I don't think you guys will be able to tell. It's actually very thick for like a winged liner. It just made it harder for me to do my winged liner, so I never ended up really reaching for it, and now it's like I wouldn't put this near my eyes because I mean I got it when this collection launched. So next up I have this basket full of stuff. So some of the products in here, I would say most of them are expired, and that's the primary reason I'm getting rid of them. I think there's a couple in here that I could keep using, but I don't think that they're good products. And then I have one product that is actually something I bought this year and it's no good. So we're gonna be decluttering it. But the first one that I'm gonna talk about is the Glam Glow Volcasmic Matte Glow Moisturizer. This has been a moisturizer that I use underneath foundation and like underneath makeup for so long. And I think when I first got it, I think it did a good job, but I think it's definitely just the point now where I don't think it really does anything because it is so old. I bought this when I was in college, so you can imagine it is very, very old. I think it just adds like a layer to my face, but it doesn't do anything. I have quite a few eyebrow things to talk about. So the first one is this Cella Tantalizing Taupe Eyebrow Cream. This, I'm pretty sure, dried up on me. I got this in, I want to say, one of my last few BoxyCharms or something. I definitely didn't purchase it myself, and I thought the packaging was just the dumbest idea ever. If you're gonna do something like this where you're gonna have a brush that like is the screw on like top to a cream, at least do it the way that like Benefit did with the Cabral, like where it's a pot, you know, like what is this? Who thought that was a good idea? I couldn't get like some of my brushes in here that I wanted to use, and the brush that came with this, so thick. Like who, I'm sorry, but like this is not a good brush. So I have a couple of like brow powders. So I have this Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Kit. Y'all, this was like the first brow product that I ever bought, and my ass was like, yeah, let's pan that. So we'll just keep it in the drawer for years. It's been expired for so long, like it's embarrassing that I have still kept it. And then I also have the Essence Make Me Brow Duo, and this one I actually got a lot of use out of. Like I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there is quite a dip in this side, and there's even a little bit of a dip in this other side. But I tried to use this recently. Did I tell you the story about where I decided that quarantine would be the best time to experiment with shaving off the tails of my brows? Which, I mean, if you did want to try doing that, like now is the time. Just saying. So I'm still working from home and stuff, so I want to say like maybe a couple of months ago, I don't know, I shaved off the tail ends of my brows and I was filling them in every single day. So I was trying to get use out of my brow powders, but anytime I use this, like halfway through the day, I'd like, you know, I'd happen to look in the mirror and I'd be like, whoa, where are my brows? Like they were just gone because this faded off so quickly. Like thankfully I noticed that they were gone before I jumped on a Zoom call, and then after that I was like always checking in the mirror before jumping on a Zoom call, make sure they didn't look crazy. Yeah, and then the next product I have is this Peak Natural Staying Brow Powder. This was in an Ipsy, so comment below if you remember getting this in your Ipsy bag. years and years and years ago. Yeah, this doesn't have any more pigmentation to it anymore. It's that old. And I don't think it had a lot of pigmentation to begin with, but like I can swatch it and like, well, nothing will really come off. I tried to use this and I was like, oh, that's not gonna work. So kind of immediately was like, yep, we're gonna declutter that. And again, while I was trying to figure out how to do my brows when like half of them were missing, I had this NYX eyebrow gel and I pulled this out and I was like, oh, that'll work perfectly. I can create little brow hairs with the, like, it's a pomade and it's the right color. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell on camera, but the inside of this is completely dried up. Like you can't squeeze any more product in here. There's a little air, but the actual product is completely solidified. Like it is completely dried up. This needs to go. I think this is probably actually newer than some of these products, but because it is a cream, it did not last. So, and then the last of my brow products are all brow pencils. I have one that's like one of those thicker, like this is like a dupe for the Anastasia brow definer. It's like that triangle shaped one. This is from Wet n Wild. It's their ultimate brow retractable brow pencil. This, I think, yeah, it's, oh my god, it's so dry. So I'm not going to try and use that on my brows. I'm just going to end up pulling out all my brow hairs. And then same thing with these brow pencils. I have two of the ABH Brow Wizzes. I have one from BH Cosmetics and one of the NYX micro brow pencils. I'm currently using up one of my micro brow pencils, and then I actually bought a new one because I heard that the formula had been changed. I don't know when they changed the formula. I don't think that they changed the formula like super recently, but I think like somewhere in the past few years they did, and I haven't bought one in a very long time, so I'm confident that I've not tried out that new formula, so I'm going to try it out and see. I've heard it's creamier, and that's why I stopped buying the NYX ones, because they were too dry. Unfortunately, I did not get to, and I think it's because like this one was a taupe shade, this one was a taupe shade, and then I have the taupe shade from, yeah, I have 3 taupe shades and the chocolate shade, which was too warm for me. So these guys are getting thrown out, unfortunately. Next up, I have 5 color correcting products. So I'll start with these guys. I have these 2 from LA Girl. These are the Pro Concealers, yeah, and I have the shade Orange Corrector and Peach Corrector. So the reason that I have this one, which is obviously like too dark for me, is because this was like years and years ago at this point. I kind of started to do other people's makeup, like never like legit professionally, but I would, like I did my friend's makeup for her wedding. I also did her mom's makeup. I bought this and I bought some stuff from like LA Girl and BH Cosmetics because it was just cheaper to do it that way. I didn't want to like invest too much in a like kit that I didn't know if I was going to be using a ton of, but I don't know. I think I've done, I can't remember. I've only done more people's makeup and like sometimes just do like friends' makeup and stuff. I have not done anyone's makeup obviously at all this year, and I think like the past year or so before like 2019 stuff, I wasn't really doing anyone else's makeup. Like I would kind of, you know, occasionally like help a friend with their makeup as we're getting ready or something, but like not. I had this, and then I think I also, yeah, I bought this one from BH Cosmetics. This is their Studio Pro Total Coverage Concealer, and this is the Peach Corrector. It looks very dark. I think it's more of this tone rather than this tone. I'm not sure, but yeah, so these are just extremely old, and I just never use them, so I don't need to keep them around. And then I also have the Catrice Camouflage Cream in the Wake Up Effect. It's just the peach, again, an under eye kind of peach color corrector, and this one is super dried out. I think I mentioned that in one of my Shop My Stash videos that it was kind of dry, and I wasn't sure that it would really work, so I did kind of test it out, and it's too dry. So the other thing I have is from Wet n Wild. This is their Mega Cushion color corrector. This is the green shade. I don't need a green color corrector. I used to think that I did because of all the redness in my face, but I think a foundation does a fairly good job of covering it, so I just don't use these anymore, and this had been sitting around in my drawer for quite some time, like years and years and years. Do they even sell these anymore? So I needed to get rid of this. Let's go through a couple more products. I have 6 more. The next one is from YSL. This is their, oh god. I'm about to speak some French, y'all, so get ready. This is the Touche Eclat Blur Perfector. I don't know, you guys. I think at one point I knew how to say that, but this is just a Honestly, I want to say this is like an earlier version of the Silk Canvas from Tatcha. Like, I think it was supposed to be, oh, or like a really early version of that like weird Becca primer that they just launched this year that's like clear and, or it's like a foundation, right? It's not marketed as a primer, it's marketed as a foundation. But it's kind of a primer, like a blurring primer or something. This is kind of what this is. They marketed it as something you could use underneath foundation or like in place of foundation. It's clear. I mean, it has like a pink tint to it, but I think it comes off clear. I got this a long time ago in an influencer box, so the next product I have is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Radiance Drops, and these, I don't know, I bought this years ago because I was like, oh, it's gonna make me so radiant and glowy, and then I just never really used it, and it's a weird product. I just don't think it's a product I'm gonna use, but you know, at that time I was like, well, I'll pan it eventually. So I am going to be getting rid of this. Then this next product is kind of gross. So this is the Kors Greek Yogurt Under Eye Priming Moisturizer. I used to really like this. Like, I remember really liking it, but I would always forget to use it. I would just never remember to use it. So I'd always go right in with my concealer before putting this on, and I was like, oh crap, I'm supposed to use this. I think it was in a project pan at one point, potentially, but this was something where I was able to, back when I was panning it, I'm pretty sure I could squeeze it down a little bit, or like at least a little bit, but now the packaging, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's kind of bulging. Like, you know when you leave something in the refrigerator for too long and it expires and the lid starts to kind of bulge because of the, you know, chemical reactions going on inside. So I was like, that's weird. This is really full. I don't remember, and I'm kind of like squeezing it. I'm like, that's like really full. Like, this packaging about to burst. And then I was like, oh, there's like legit yogurt in here. I mean, it took a while, but this is definitely expired. So I just thought it was funny. I'm like, I gotta throw this in the trash can before it like pops. Next, we're almost done with this section. Next, I have the Becca Hydro Mist Set and Refresh Powder. If you watch one of my Shop My Stash videos, I don't know if it was I think it was the most recent one that I talked about this. So this no longer has that like cooling sensation, but it's still kind of moist. I was thinking about this the other day. I don't like the word moist, but I use the word moisturizer all the time. Totally fine with it. Totally different thing. I don't really get that. Yeah. So it's still kind of got that wet feeling. Like it like traded in the cooling sensation for like a wet feeling. And like, you don't really want to put wet powder on your face. And anyways, it just cakes up and adds this just kind of goopy sort of moist layer to my face. At first I was like, oh, I'll just pan it. It's just a loose powder. It's like halfway, already, you know, less than halfway done or more than halfway done. I don't know. Close to halfway done. So I could totally pan that, but I would probably hate my makeup the entire time. There's no way I'm gonna like force myself to pan this. That would be such a punishment to myself, and that's not what life's about, okay? You should be like enjoying makeup, you know? I have two more products. I bought both of these this year. I'm a little mad about one of them because, so this is the e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer. Y'all, so this was new this year, and I'm going to put this up to the camera so you can see. Okay, do you guys see how it has pulled away? I'm gonna get like right up in there for you. Okay, yeah, do you see how it is pulled away from the edges? I think you can see it, hopefully you can. This was new. The cap just doesn't screw, like it's not capable of screwing on completely. So even if I bought this again and got one that was not already dried out, because that's it, I think it was already dried out when they like sent it out, you know, I think it was just already had a loose cap. I don't know if I got a bad one. I don't know. I've heard other people say that these are really dry, so so I think it started off dry and then it just completely dried up because of the cap. Because of this packaging, because you can't screw it on completely, there's no point in trying to revive this. If I did like it when I first got it and it wasn't already dry, it wouldn't last, right? So Our last miscellaneous product before the eyeshadow palettes, I have a highlighter. This is the Kokie Soft Glow highlighter, and this is in the shade Gleaming. If you guys watch Kelly Gooch's channel, she also is decluttering this, and it looks, I mean, like she had said in her video, like it looks like so beautiful. Like, how would you ever, you know, get rid of this? First of all, the shade isn't my favorite. It's kind of a pinky champagne, I feel like. So not my personal preference. I didn't love the color of this. It was kind of hard, I feel like a little hard to tell online when I bought it. This formula, like, I just swirled my finger in there and like, it doesn't really come, I mean, you can see it on the camera, like you can see it, but there's not like a lot really, I mean, it's reflective for sure, but there's not really a lot on my finger. It's hard to get this to pick up. And then when you swatch it, can you see this? Like, I don't know, I feel like I'm making this look really good, but it's got some glitter in there, and on the face, like it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And to show you the difference, I had another shade of this. Let me grab it because it's weirdly crazy different. This is in the shade Heavenly, and for some reason there's something inside this packaging that's broken. But yeah, again, this is the shade Heavenly. Do you guys see, like, do you see the difference, kind of? I don't know. Do you see the difference there? I don't know, they're different. So I am going to keep this one. I don't know if I will keep it forever. I mean, obviously I want to keep it forever, but like, you know, I don't think I'm going to keep it for a super long time. I just want to keep testing it out because it seems better than this shade. I'm still not sure I love the formula. So that is it for this little basket. Put my things in here. And now I have the eyeshadow palettes to talk about. So besides the like product, I think that like that Kokie highlighter, I can definitely pass along to someone who thinks that they might like that formula a little bit better. Everything else is too old, or in the case of like that e.l.f. putty primer, like it's completely dried up. So even though it is not like expired, I'm not gonna give that to somebody. All of that stuff will be thrown away. But with my eyeshadow palettes, these are all, I would say, in relatively good condition. None of them are super, super old in my collection, and I feel comfortable like giving these away to friends, and I've actually already found a home for some of them. These eyeshadow palettes, none of them are bad. Like, they're not bad quality. When I look at them, I'm not really feeling inspired. I'm not feeling inspired by them. Wow. We talked about expired makeup for so long. It's like... So yeah, like these are all, I would say, like, they're not my favorite formulas when it comes to eyeshadow, but they're definitely not horrible. They're not bad. I'm gonna start off with this first set. This I actually bought this year. The rest of these palettes I bought like a while ago. Again, they're not super old, but they're not brand new. So this is the Beauty Crop Cocktail Palette Book Set. So it comes with 4 palettes. I bought a bundle. I bought 2 bundles, I believe, from the Beauty Crop site. They were having a sale, and I just was like, might as well, which is not the best thing for me to be saying when I'm like spending my money. But I did purchase 3 other palettes from them, and I haven't used them a ton yet, but I do like them better than these guys. So again, there's nothing wrong with these palettes. They're just not my personal preference. So I have the Mojito one right here. And this is just your, like, I don't know. It's a very green palette, obviously. I was very excited for this one. The mattes leave like a little bit to be desired. I feel like they're a little dry. And the shimmers aren't they're not my favorite. They're not bad. I feel like they are pigmented. I just wish that they may be a little more intense. And then there's this weird shade here. I don't know. It's like a flaky kind of creamy shade, but I've seen other brands do that type of formula and really pull it off, and I don't think that they quite nailed it with this guy. And there is a pressed glitter in here, so I just didn't feel overall like I was going to get much use out of this. And I believe this is the one, I didn't use all of these on my eyes. I think this is the one that I did use on my eyes, because I think you can see kind of where I put the brush in a couple of these shades, like the matte shades, and I think I just didn't love it. And I have a lot of palettes, so the ones that I keep need to be ones that I love. I don't care how many I have, as long as I truly love them. Like, I don't care about a number. I'm not really interested in like keeping too much like focus on numbers. but I want to make sure that my collection is something that I absolutely love. These just weren't my favorite formula, and the other palettes that I am keeping from this brand, the formula is more my preference, so there's that. And then there is the Pina Colada one right here. It's very colorful. My friend is really gonna enjoy that. And then I also have the Sangria one and the Strawberry Daiquiri one. These are like super excited about when I got them, but they didn't wow me, I guess is the thing. And yeah, this one has a couple more of those weird kind of flaky, like not exactly cream type shades. It's interesting. They're interesting, and it has a pressed glitter that actually looks really beautiful. Like, that is a beautiful glitter. I think if the mattes were more my preference, I'd be a little bit more enthused about these palettes, but as they are, I just don't really get excited looking at them. So I will be giving these to a friend. And then I have a Zoeva palette. This is the Spice of Life palette. By the way, I'm not swatching anything because I feel like it's rude to like swatch things when you're gonna give them away anyways, because even though I was just all up in that Kogi highlighter. But I'm just like, I'm gonna be giving these away, so I don't wanna like be like, oh yes, I'm giving you this palette, but hey, let me rub my fingers in it a few more times for you. You know, I don't wanna do that. So especially, I mean, obviously you can sanitize powders, but I don't know. Anyway, this is the palette. It is a really stunning color story. I really do like it. But again, the formula isn't my favorite. It's not a bad formula. It's not my personal preference, I think. I think a lot of people would probably like it. I didn't really want to hold on to this because I just felt like I was never going to really reach for it. So next I have my 4 Certify palettes here. Even though I never updated my Pan Those Eyeshadows project from this year, I did attempt to pan the shades that I pulled because I was like originally trying to keep up with that project. I did end up hitting pan on quite a few of those shades. I don't get super excited reaching for these. I think I'm not the biggest fan. This is the Affinity palette. I'm not the biggest fan of their matte formula. I think it leaves a little to be desired, but I think that they're still ones that, you know, you can get to work for you. I just think that they're gonna require a little bit more work than others would, but not in a way where they're bad, horrible palettes or anything. It's just like, again, because I have so many palettes, I really should only keep the ones that I like love. This is the Tropical Wonders palette, you know, gorgeous rainbow palette. I did hit pan in the Toucan shade that I pulled in my Pan Those Eyeshadows intro. I did hit pan, but I just didn't really, like, hitting pan kind of just showed me I didn't really enjoy the formula a ton. Again, they are pigmented. Like, if I could swatch them for you, I would. They are really pigmented. I just feel like I have rainbow palettes that blend maybe look a little bit better, or like more rainbowy shades that blend just slightly better. And then I also have the Dynasty palette, which I'm not going to open because I need to save that for my whole collection Project Pan finale. I am decluttering it. I've just worked with these palettes a lot this year and just kind of, you know, again, just discovered that they weren't really my favorite. And then I have the Destiny palette here, and this is a little bit more of a deeper color story, and again, really beautiful colors. I'm just, you know, I have a lot of colorful eyeshadows in my collection, and I just want to make sure that the ones I'm keeping are the ones that I feel perform the best for the look that I am going for, you know? I will be passing these along. Next up, I have this Tarte Love, Trust, and Fairy Dust palette. It's a little messy because one of the shades, like, is crumbling over here. It came to me like that, and I just never really did anything with it, but I've never reached into this palette ever. It's really beautiful, and it is like, these are nice colors that I would use. It's just that I have them in other palettes that I would prefer to reach for. And I know everyone says this, but I don't like the circle packaging either. I think it just makes it like somehow harder to see in my eyeshadow palette drawers. I don't know why, and so I just never reach for these circular palettes, so I should never buy them again. So I'm going to be passing that one along. Then I have this Crown Glam Metals palette. I think this is a little bit older in my collection. Let me try and hold it right side up without blinding you guys. I like the color story. There's no mattes in here except for the black, which I wouldn't really get a lot of use out of anyways. Everything else is kind of more of a satin or a shimmer. I just don't find myself reaching for this, and these are shades that I don't tend to use. I like these 2 shades right here. I think they're really beautiful, the Pop Rock shade and the Rock On shade. I was thinking about potentially depotting this and keeping the shades. I may still do that if I have no friends end up taking this, but I just don't feel the need for this palette in my collection. Next up, I have the Rendezvous palette from ColourPop. I like my ColourPop palettes. I wouldn't say it's my favorite formula, but definitely not like terrible or anything. And this palette, the color story just doesn't inspire me. You have like these 2 rows of cool tones, and then you have these 2 rows of warm tones, and they're like extremely warm and extremely cool. They're not like, you know, cool tones that are leaning more neutral and warm tones that are leaning more neutral, and together they kind of create a cool, not a cool as in tone, but like cool as in that's a cool palette, like that's a pretty palette. They don't create that for me. It's kind of off-putting, honestly, in a weird way, but I do think that someone else would find this color story very interesting and really enjoy it and get a lot of use out of it, but I'm going to be passing that one along as well. Then I have another circular palette. I am going to be passing this along. This is the Urban Decay Elements palette. This was like a holiday palette a couple years ago, and I just don't reach for this palette. It's A, it's too big, and B, it's a circular palette. I don't know, I don't ever want to reach for it. These shades, I have these shades so many times over in my collection, so I am going to be passing this along. Again, I actually really like the Urban Decay formula, so definitely think a friend can get a lot more use out of this. Next up, I have the Pure Cosmetics Soiree Diaries. This palette, if you own this and you own the Persona Identity palette, they are very similar. They are so similar. I definitely didn't feel like I needed both of them. I think I like the Persona one a little bit more. I haven't really dived into either palette that much, but I felt like the Persona one had a little bit more range. Very similar colors, but I think it just had a little bit more variance in some of the matte shades. It is a smaller palette, so I was like, I'll just keep the smaller one because this is going to take up more room and I need the space. So, and then next, I actually just got this palette in my last FabFitFun box, and it was one of the things where like you can customize what you get, and I did choose this palette, but whatever was the other option was just not really of any interest to me, like at all. And so I thought maybe if the palette is actually good, I would get a lot of use out of it, but it's not bad, but it's not. And I'm not trying to say that to like avoid like saying something negative about a product, but I do think that when it comes to this type of eyeshadow formula, someone who likes a more softer look with their eyeshadow, or maybe a beginner who doesn't quite have blending down, would benefit from this palette. So it is the Laura Geller Cinnamon and Spice palette, and this reminds me of like, you know, Urban Decay, like Naked 3 palette kind of vibes. And I have these colors in other places in my collection, and these are not the most pigmented shades. The shimmers are okay, but they're not, again, they kind of lack a little bit of that pigmentation. I think some people might like this palette. I think it's like perfect for them if they want a little bit more of a softer look. Definitely meant more for somebody who is lighter in skin tone, because like these are very, very light, very not pigmented. This is the ColourPop All I See Is Magic palette. This palette is, I feel like, really old. Like, I don't know, it might not be as, like, most of these palettes are much newer in my collection, I feel like, but this one, I don't know, for some reason I feel like this is just very old in my collection. I'm not sure. I don't know why, but this color story just never has excited me. The next palette I have is from Morphe. This is the Boss Mood palette. I've tried to declutter this so many times. The only reason that I kept it is because the color story is so unique and beautiful, and I do really like the color story. These tones, I love them. I love the greens and the oranges mixed with the purples and the pinks. I love it. I actually swatched this the other day, and the mattes are so dry. And I don't think it's not because the palette's old. I just think that since kind of, you know, not really using Morphe anymore, I have discovered better formulas that, you know, the mattes are creamy. I don't know what their new stuff is like, right? Maybe they've improved their formula, but this palette, the quality, again, it's not horrible or anything like that. Like, you can definitely make it work, but when I've got like, I don't know, when I've got like Natasha Denona palettes sitting around not being used because I'm like trying to pan this, like I'm never gonna pan it completely, like, and these are, you know, the mattes are a little dry. Like I don't really like dry matte formulas. I like matte formulas that are creamy, you know, and like blendable. So I don't need to hang on to this, that's for sure. That's the end of this video. Those are all the products that I'm going to be decluttering for 2020, the final kind of declutter. I just, you know, I didn't want to take these products into 2021 with me because, you know, they've just been sitting around. So let me know what you've decided to declutter recently. If there's anything, I mean, maybe you don't declutter, I don't know, but if there's anything that you have decluttered recently, let me know. All right, so that's it for this video. Please make sure to keep your eyes peeled for new videos from me, and you know, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. All right, that's it for me. I will see you all in my next video. Bye.